Ladies and gentlemen, I think we actually have to pause for a couple of seconds and just see as we reach over that 700 attendee mark. That'll be the new record. So maybe someone can just give me thumbs up once we are there. I think we won. There we go. We are on 700.
700.
Awesome. We laugh about it, but I think it's incredible just to see what Engage has become. And we take this attendance as first of all, a huge compliment, but also a massive responsibility to make sure that your time is well spent, that you get value. And I think the most important thing is that we do it together. So the shaping of the future. So thank you also from my side for Tatu, CEO of the PPRA, and Vaughan David, CEO of FNB Cash and Investments, to join us. It's incredible how we can have stakeholders in the market believing in what we believe, that change is possible, and there's a better future we can work towards. And it's just amazing to have everybody on the Friday together. But without further ado, I'm going to kick us off and start with a slide that I showed earlier this year, where I was invited at a National Franchise Group's conference. And that was my first slide. And I basically said, ladies and gentlemen, as a country, we're in quite a predicament. And I'm not a political scientist and even less economist, but Zapiru, I think, is quite good at both, and especially the way he depicts certain scenarios in our country quite well. This is one of his drawings. And I think it really represented what position we were in as a country. So we had very high inflation, we had high interest rates, we had massive service delivery issues, political uncertainty, probably at the highest ever, and low consumer confidence, which one can understand. So, as a business owner, I must be honest, quite positive about the country, always has been, but that scenario we were in March was challenging, and one could help to be concerned about our future. I think important to note at that time, even among all these economical and political challenges, the property management market was doing exceptionally well, showing exceptional resilience even since COVID, with very low vacancy rates, high year-on-year growth, and obviously a higher rent income per property. So even though the market in general was difficult, business confidence was all-time low, our market, as the rental asset management market, has shown exceptional resilience. And hopefully, all of those business owners out there took note about this critical and important part of your business. However, even though the market was doing well in rentals, it was not sustainable, because ultimately we need not only a willing but able tenant to be able to pay rent for us to have a market. And looking at this, the debt-to-income ratio, as that was increasing as well because of economic pressures, we could not maintain this trajectory going forward. Luckily, it was election year, and hopefully we could have all voted for change. So in May this year, we went through quite a major election, which was predicted to be a seminal moment in the history of South Africa, where there was potential indications that the governing party might lose its majority, which would mean that as a country we'll go into the uncertain territory of having a coalition government, which we obviously knew that we were not all experts of. Now, the post-elections, as was expected, the governing party did lose its majority. There was this exceptional tense time for about 2 weeks where there was all these negotiations. There was even, if you look at the MK party, a potential re-election. But luckily, out of this came the concept of the GNU and the principle of a letter of intent about how this GNU will function. Now, the GNU was formed, I think it was about 2 weeks later, and these parties ultimately makes up the majority of what the GNU entails. And today, we've got quite a sizable cabinet with this coalition government in place. Again, I'm not a political scientist, but looking at some political commentators indicating that this result we received was possibly the best outcome we could have hoped for. But what does it mean for us as business owners today? And is it really that positive? Because I'm quite confident the GNU will be tested as time goes on. But today, as business owners, are we in a better place? Now, I'm quite happy to share just some indicators to indicate the position we as business owners are in today compared to March only 6 months ago, earlier this year. First of all, we've been looking at the business confidence top left as increase in the third quarter, and looking at the forecast into 2025, looking to continue to increase in South Africa, which is an amazing trend to see. Then inflation has eased for the third month to 4.4 in August this year, below the expected 4.5, following 7 consecutive meetings at a 15-year high peak of 8.25. This marks the lowest inflation rate since April 2021, falling just below the South African Reserve Bank midpoint target of 4.5. Then a big one for all of us in the property industry, interest rates. The South African Reserve Bank slashed its key interest rates by 25 basis points to 8% in September, eventually, as expected, following consecutive meetings at a 15-year high peak of 8.25. This marks the South African Reserve Bank's first policy easing since the pandemic in 2020, as the price pressures cooled at the market. I think we all hope, and it is also expected, that this trend will continue downwards going forward. Then the consumer confidence has increased in the third quarter and has improved, and it marks the highest level of confidence since the first half of 2019. So I think, these are not all the economic indicators one should monitor, but these are really looking positive. And I think at this point, I can say as a business owner, and maybe because the Springboks gave us a really good show this year so far as well, I believe we can really be positive compared to the place we were in March earlier this year. But what does it mean for us in the rental market? So let's look at some rental stats now. This is playing off in the South African rental industry. So firstly, let's look at supply and demand, showcased by the national residential vacancy rate. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you can see a graph from 2016 to all the way up to 2024. And what we should note is, since COVID, obviously we had this massive vacancy rates. We are back to, I want to say, normal vacancy rates in South Africa, reflecting those we had in 2016. In the first quarter, it was the lowest since 2016, just showcasing again a healthy demand-supply scenario for our market in South Africa. Looking at the impact that have on our average national rent, you can see a clear trend line from 2020 going up to all the way to 9,415 Rand, which is the average rent as per the WeconnectU database in South Africa today, and a quarterly growth rate of 4.5. If we break that down into regional provinces, because I think there are quite big differences there, one can see Cape Town obviously performing quite well, just under 11,000 Rand. Gauteng, a short follow off of that, and it dribbles down. But I think, again, to have a national average of just under 9,500 Rand is fantastic for us as industry, because obviously industry collects commission based on the amount of rent they typically collect. There's only really one, I think, a negative aspect of the market stats at the moment that one should take note of, is because of obviously the past economical pressures. Our consumer, our tenant, is still taking strain, and we still have just over 18% tenant in arrears. So it's important to note that you should have strategies to, first of all, make sure you choose the right tenant, and also make sure you collect better, and as well as manage arrears better. And I'm sure that John will give us some indication about how our rental asset management solution can help you there. I want to end off with two really positive slides for me. First of all, at the backdrop on the blue line, you can see again just the average rent monthly from 2022 to 2024, sitting at just under 9,500 Rand. Then in the yellow line, you can see inflation, and in the red line, the monthly year-on-year growth in average rental. So the trend line from inflation clearly goes down, and obviously, as I mentioned earlier, the forecast is that it will continue to trend down. The year-on-year growth for rentals is going up. So if inflation is going down, the cost of ownership is coming down for us, for our investors. And if the year-on-year growth is going up, it means the returns for our investors is better. This is showcasing a healthy market to tell our investors it's a good time to invest into property, into the buy-to-let space. That on top of the following slides, which is stats from the General Household Survey of South Africa. As you can see in the line, the trend line, before COVID, there was a clear decrease in home ownership comprised of those who have paid or partially paid before COVID, and a clear increase in the number of percentage tenants renting. I want to say there was this artificial increase in home ownership over the COVID period, where we had this artificially low interest rates, but again, a steep decline post-COVID and a steep increase in the amount of tenants renting in South Africa. So we really believe that, first of all, because of generation rent, tenants just opting to prefer to rent over buying property. And secondly, the cost of ownership in South Africa being quite high limits the amount of people in South Africa that can actually afford homes, but they all need a home. So from a business owner perspective in rentals, I think it's quite positive that the market size that you are competing in is getting bigger. Secondly, this previous slide shows the time at the moment is really phenomenal for our clients because their returns will be better. Now, for me, these stats combined with economical stats earlier, Skalk paint a really positive picture. And maybe I should coin this first section of the presentation, the good news report, because for me, I really believe that's good news for industry.
Looking at the market, we can certainly say that it's a much better place than 6 months ago. It's much better to go into the end of the year and to 2025 looking at the positives. And we know that business owners are more comfortable to invest. We also know that, seen from Johan, consumer confidence is on the rise. And the rest of 2024 is going to be great. Petrol prices are down. It's all going to be good for us. And we're looking forward to 2025. This is just the start of good news. Hold tight. There's many more to come during this webinar. I want to maybe quickly reflect and say most of you, business owners and or agents, probably are in the sales division as well, doing sales. But it's clear if we look at what we've just seen, that the value of the rental business or a rental business has truly shined over the past 5 years. In fact, your rental business has been likely the cash cow that helped you weather many of the storms we've faced over the last few years, tagged as hard times. It's resilient, it's reliable, and it's been crucial to maintaining stability in the uncertain times. I think something not to be forgotten is the asset value of your rental business is something that should not be overlooked. As we move forward, we believe we are your partner in the industry, providing you with the tools and technology to help you scale your rental biz efficiently as possible. Maybe to put things in perspective, 5 years ago, we've had many phone calls from people saying they want to sell their rental portfolios. And that was a bit of an alarming scenario. And today I can say we have a queue of people asking us every week, don't we know about books that people can purchase? Something that is just showing the value of having a rental business in your business.